My kids left me for their cheating mom in divorce because her new husband gave them jobs and a company. They didn't invite me to their weddings and stopped talking for 8 years. I, 56M, discovered 8 years ago that my wife Marie, 52F, was cheating on me with a college acquaintance. After almost a year, I caught them cheating and moved out of my house and filed for divorce. Our marriage was already struggling because she didn't think I was making enough money as a high school baseball coach, and even though I was doing my best, she kept moaning about everything. I thought divorce would be easy because we fought often. Since our 2 children had left, I had nothing to stay for. Because my kids sided with their mother, that divorce also cost me my relationship with them. They tried to convince me to go easy on her because she had been a stay-at-home mom for a long time and must have been bored with her life. After they moved out, we started bickering over everything. Naturally, she wasn't thrilled and I was struggling financially. However, I couldn't understand why my kids were so desperate to forgive Marie, especially because I was going through the same troubles she was and hadn't cheated on her. I tried to make her feel special after every bout. I was furious that my children wanted me to give her another chance because none of that mattered to her. I also fought them over this, and they temporarily shut me out of their lives. After the divorce, Marie remarried her affair partner 2 months later, leaving me feeling lonely. I was not speaking to my kids. They forgave me after I reached out. However, they didn't ask me to any of their milestones for the next 2 years, so I don't think they really forgiven me. Until earlier this year, I barely saw my kids. The only reason they're trying to get along with me is because I founded a business with a couple of buddies a few years ago, and it started taking off recently. I'm doing well for myself, so I think they're here for that. For reference, I was a high school sports coach for years but was underpaid and overworked. My friend who worked at another school and I were having a hard time with money, so while attempting to figure out retirement plans, we decided to talk to other people and try to create our own institution. That way, we could still coach youngsters, something we were good at and had experience doing. But it may become a business and our retirement plan. We recruited another motivated and business-savvy friend and started this. We didn't expect much from it at the start, but we're proud of how well we're doing today and how far we've come. Our facility is popular, thus we may expand. My kids probably heard about it since they reached out to me early this year to get on my good side. Initially, I was delighted that they were seeking to include me more in their lives because I assumed they had wised up. 2 days ago, they visited me. I didn't suspect the two had ulterior objectives. My oldest son Gavin and his sister Hannah are married. Gavin and Hannah married 6 and 4 years ago, respectively. I wasn't invited to either wedding since their mother and her husband would make it difficult for everyone. It upset me greatly. The wedding would be too packed, so they told me they'd make it up to me later, but they never did. I waited like a fool for them to understand I was as obvious to them as their mother. I believed it was finally occurring. However, when they visited me lately and told me they had heard my business was doing well and wanted me to spend more time with my grandkids and support them financially, I knew what was going on. It was hard not to become upset at them, but I assured them I would consider it, and they seemed delighted when they went. Wanting they left, I blocked them everywhere, because I thought they were wanting my money. Gavin's youngest child is a year old, while his oldest is 5. Hannah gave birth to her daughter 6 months ago, I believe. I have yet to meet my grandchildren. I've never met my first grandchild, born 5 years ago. Naturally, it stings, and I've tried to get Gavin to ask me over to meet his kids and Hannah's daughter, but they've always declined. Marie always said she and her spouse would be present and didn't want awkwardness. It ached to always understand and let go. Now they want to let me play grandpa, perhaps because they're struggling financially. I didn't know about this earlier, therefore I hadn't cut them out of my life. Putting it out. Anyway, I don't talk to most of my extended relatives and don't like gossip. I suspected something was strange when my kids visited me after so long and started being polite to me. After they went, I blocked them and asked around about my kids' activities to satiate my curiosity. I discovered they were facing a financial difficult patch over the past couple of years and more. Things with their stepdad were no longer easy. The family seemed close to the guy in the images they posted after their mother remarried, so I was surprised. However, his plans to sell his company are causing problems. After Marie married him, my kids started working at his furniture company. I'm not sure why, but I think that's why they were so ready to support their mom in the divorce. Because they thought getting me to ease up on their mother instead of dragging out the divorce would get them into their stepdad's company. I never suspected Marie's affair partner would bring them out, so I never found out. The company hasn't been doing well in the previous couple of years, and Marie's husband wants to sell it, but my kids want him to keep it. As the company's owner, he stands to earn most from the purchase, and he's lucky to have found a buyer. My kids don't like the agreement because they'll earn a percentage of the proceeds as shareholders and higher management, but they'll lose their jobs and want a long-term strategy. Marie has a big mouth and has been raving about this to everyone with ears. So many family members know about it. Gavin and Hannah probably came to me for help, because their family is fighting. It's obvious we're doing well. Advertising and word of mouth are working nicely for us. After talking to several of my family, I decided to ban my kids and not participate in their lives. They didn't care about mine for 8 years, and they're just here because they're in trouble. It's offensive, and I feel stupid for expecting them to apologize to me. 2 days after blocking them, they returned to my door. I refused to talk to them, but they insisted on entering. I told them that I had heard from the family about them and their stepdad, and that they were only here because they wanted financial help from me, and left me because their stepdad could offer them secure upper management jobs that I couldn't. In response to my naming them sellouts, they accused me of being insensitive and bitter, even though they had no such intentions. They said they just wanted to make things right with me because they understood I was still their father and they couldn't always put Marie first. They also told me that they only asked me for financial help because of their kids, not because I was doing well financially, and that. It was disgusting that I had even come to that conclusion after listening to a bunch of family gossip. I'm upset about this from 2 days ago, so bad that I had to take time off work because I can't stop thinking about what I'm doing. From a rational standpoint, the family is probably not lying to me. They wouldn't benefit, and my family has always been nice to me. They have always supported me, even after my divorce, and I appreciate that. Since I investigated this problem, they're telling me what I asked them, not lying or gossiping. I don't know if I should offer my kids an opportunity to mend things with me, or just help them financially. After all, I'm doing well enough to support them, and I'm sure they're not asking for something permanent. They'll obtain a job once the company sells, and they're probably expecting me to be their safety net for their kids. I haven't asked them what type of money they want, an investment, a loan, or just goodwill, but I know financial support is part of it. Because of that, I don't want to miss out on reconnecting with my children and building a bond with my grandkids. The way they spoke about the scenario the other day they visited has thrown me for a loop, and I don't know what to think. I've been stressed out and thought I'm making the worst mistake of my life by excluding my kids and being insensitive and ungrateful, as they claimed. If I do, let my ego win. I'm not sure I'll get another chance to make it work with my family. The only thing stopping me is my fear of being used, which I don't want. No longer sure what to think. I'm lost and don't think anyone I can talk to about this. I'm an old man trying to figure out life after being on my own since my divorce. Although I hate to say it, I miss my children and want them in my life, but I'm not sure how to achieve it. So AITA for not wanting to fund my kids? Update 1. Thanks for the feedback. I guess I needed a reality check. I started pondering talking to my kids out of desperation. I know I'm being used, so I shouldn't be their doormat. All these years, they spoke to me as if they were helping me, but they still ignored me because they preferred Marie and her husband. After learning why people liked him, I don't think there's any going back. I even told my friends about it at work, even though they knew the background. When I told them about the circumstances and what I learned recently, they were shocked. They indicated they still think there's hope for reconciliation, even if they thought Marie manipulated my kids and didn't want to talk to me. Once they realized their stepdad had bought them out, they couldn't turn back. They told me to block my kids for my self-respect and sanity because else. Burn a hole in my pocket. The money they sought may have been tiny, but I don't owe it to them. I don't owe them anything, even if they were honest the other day and wanted the money for their kids. Why would I develop a bond with anyone? They've never let me visit my grandkids. It sounds insensitive, but it's true. I can't feel horrible for strangers' kids and donate money. If that makes me insensitive and angry of their language, fine. I'll stay away from them and live my life. I don't care or need to justify myself. Though it will hurt, I don't think it can hurt more than it has for 8 years. I guess I can handle cutting them off now if I put up with that without complaining. At least now. I'll choose and control the circumstance instead of their mistreating me. I needed to vent, so thanks for listening. I will notify you if anything changes, and thanks for your support. Update 2. Hello. 2 weeks have passed since my last update. I promised to update you if the situation changed. Gavin and Sarah arrived with my grandsons yesterday while I was at work and demanded to see me. I was in a training session with 2 students, therefore I don't take meetings when, but they refused to wait. I don't see why they expected special treatment since nobody knew they were my kids. They did not deserve preferential treatment even if they did. However, our receptionist advised me that they would not wait. I was cranky. I asked security to take them to my office and make them wait so they wouldn't raise a disturbance in the lobby. I finished the training session slowly and made them wait about 30 minutes before returning to my office so they could meet me. It was silly, but they needed to understand that they couldn't just show up at my office and expect me to amuse them at any moment. When I returned to my office, Gavin and Sarah were clearly agitated. My grandkids were bored and fussy, so as soon as I entered my office, they started lecturing me about time and how rude it was of me not to talk to them and make them wait so long out of spite, especially since I knew they were present. I informed them I treated them like any other trainee who came to me during training because their entitlement was obnoxious. If others could wait until I finished my work before meeting me, they could too. Their expectation of preferential treatment from me because they were my kids was absurd, especially since I hadn't been treated properly by them in the past, let alone as their father. It was their fault to bring their kids. This was a training institution, and I had a valuable position here, so if they couldn't handle my typical treatment, they could go. They waited because they wanted to. I didn't compel them. I was rude to them, and could tell they were upset. I guess they needed my favor so they didn't hurt themselves. Instead, they swiftly shifted the topic and told me they had brought their kids to meet me for the first time so I could create a bond with them and feel like a grandpa for the first time. I struggled, but I had to shoot that down. I told them I was going home to unwind after my last training session of the day. Besides, I knew their goal. Using their grandkids to win my favor was futile. Their attempt to exploit their children to access me was spineless, I told them. Unethical, and they defended themselves by saying they weren't aiming to do that. Just to meet me, they brought their kids. We argued over it because it was evident that this was not sincere. They urgently wanted my money, so they kept asking for another chance. No matter how much they insisted, I told them it was too little and too late. I loved my grandkids at first sight. They're all adorable and I wish we'd met differently. But that's their parents' fault. After the disagreement, they insisted that I hear them out and explain me about their plan for which they require my money, but I declined. Even while disputing, they sounded frustrated. Gavin yelled at me after I informed them I wasn't interested. He was so cruel that the kids cried. I tried to comfort the kids while they argued with me, and it was so infuriating that I told them to leave on their own if they didn't want me to call security and throw them out. I was sick of them. I guess they knew I meant business. After warning me I was callous and my ego would bring me down, they left. It didn't matter to me. I went home to relax because I wanted to. I still haven't unblocked them after 24 hours. I'll also avoid that. No, especially.